Hi, in this video you will learn how to use the Revolve feature in Onshape. So this is going to be the first video in a couple part series going over how to use the Revolve feature. So let's get into the video without further delay. So as you can see here, I'm on my Onshape home screen. I'm going to click on the blue create button and I'm going to create a document and label it Revolve tutorial. So this is kind of contrary to some things that I do. It's like I'm first going to go over what Revolve actually does. So Revolve, what it does, if you actually hover over your Revolve button, it's going to say that it's just revolving stuff around axis. So what it basically does is it spins a face around the axis. And I think you'll see what this is. Revolve is sort of something you need to see to actually learn. It's really hard to describe with just words. So let's get into it. I'm going to actually work on the front plane today, which is kind of a change from what I usually do. So I'm going to hide my front and my right planes. Actually, this time I'm not going to hide my right plane because I want a line here in the middle, as you'll see later on. And I'm going to go on sketch and I'm going to click on the front plane. So as you can see, it forms a nice little origin line for me. So because I said that when you're revolving a sort of figure, you need to revolve it around an axis. Onshape doesn't really have axes because they think it's not really necessary. But if you're working with Inventor, you should have an axis and you don't really need to worry about this step. But since this is because you're using Onshape, you need to make sure that you have sort of some type of line. I didn't hide my right plane because it forms a nice line in the middle. You could also use the vertical constraint to create a line. So if I didn't have the sketch, I didn't have my right plane visible, I could just use my sketch. And Onshape is so helpful that it actually can give you a guide for your lines. So yeah, from the origin, and it gives you straight, but I'm not really that talented and I like to see what I'm doing. So I'm not going to hide the right plane. And so now I'm going to create a line and drag it down across and right about here. So if you notice, it's exactly 4.5. So I'm just gonna leave that there. Now I want to revolve a rectangle. So this time I'm using a corner rectangle just because it's a bit easier to use. You can use any shape. I just want to use rectangle because it's a really easy shape to understand. So I'm going to expand, click escape to come out of the rectangle. And I'm going to dimension it. So I'm going to dimension this to 3 inches. And oops, Control C. So what Control C does is it undoes the anything you do. So yeah. Um, I'm going to edit this dimension by double clicking. I'm going to make it 3 inches. And for this one, for the shorter side, I'm going to make it 1 inch. And yeah, so I don't want to mess with the sketch anymore. And I'm just going to click the green check button. And there we go. Wow, that's almost like my tagline, right? Okay, back to topic. So I'm going to click on Revolve now. Make sure you're in New. And it's going to ask you what face or sketch regions you want to revolve. Obviously, I don't have any sketch other than this rectangle, so I'm going to click on the rectangle because that's what I want to revolve, right? So revolve means it spins 360. I mean, you can change that by clicking here, but I'm going to go over that in a different video. So it's going to ask you for a revolve axis, which is going to be the little line that we drew. But before you select your revolve axis, you actually have to click on revolve axis so it doesn't give you an error, and you can actually then click on this line and it gives you sort of this preview. It asks you if is this what you want to sort of revolve. So because that's what I actually want to revolve, I'm going to click on the green check button. So there we go. Our revolve has been successful. So let's go to isometric view to check it out. And let's hide the planes. Oh wow, that's actually a pretty impressive cylinder. Now remember, we could have done this with any type. We could have done this with just extrude by drawing a circle on the top plane and extruding it. But this is also another way. And remember that Revolve can help you create some pretty odd shapes. So let's actually make another shape and see how weird we can get with this. So if you haven't watched my previous video on shells, please make sure to watch it so that you know actually how to use shell. But I'm actually going to try to make a cup. So I'm going to go to this bottom toolbar and create a new part studio. But before I actually create a new part studio, I'm going to click on my current part studio and I'm going to right click and click on rename. And I'm going to label it cylinder example. Cylinder example. And I'm going to click enter, and I'm going to come to this plus and create a new part studio. And I'm going to right click, rename it to mug. Or actually, you know what? I should name it to cup. So cup. Oopsie. Cup. Okay, wow. So now, again, I'm going to construct on my front plane. I don't want to see my top plane because it's not really helpful to me in any way. And I want to create my sketch on the front plane. So I'm going to click on that, go to front view. So I have this nice little line here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first draw my axis that I want to revolve on. So I'm going to be nice and going to start from here and pull all the way down and click escape to come out of the line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just start making my mug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my line tool, going to click out and drag in to sort of create that nice little slant. Click escape, then come down and then click here, drag down, and then create a straight line. So what this is going to do is it's actually going to create this nice little dip that every cup has. And so before I actually revolve, I noticed that this is a bit too deep. Let's experiment with the dimensions a bit and see how it sort of changes. So you can go to the dimension tool and click on two sides to actually change the angle between them. So I want to make my angle 80. Let's see what happens when I make it 80. Mm, almost there. I just want it to be a bit bigger though. I want the angle to be actually, you know what? Let's make it 85. Double click on the dimension to change it. Click on 85 and bam. That's sort of what I call a cup. That's all I really want to do to this. I'm going to click on the green check button and I'm going to click on revolve. I'm going to click on my sketch because that's what I want to revolve. I'm going to go to revolve axis, click on my middle line, and then click on the check button and see what it actually does. So let's go to isometric view. See, the dip is very sort of meh. I don't want that sort of meh. I want it to be a bit deeper. So I'm going to go to sketch 1, right click and click on edit. And I'm going to go to my front view and I'm going to double click on this dimension and sort of make it a, do I want to make it let's try and make it a 75. Yeah, that's sort of what I like. So I know I made it the first time, but okay. And then if we click check, the revolve will be adjusted likewise. So as you can see here, let's just check what it actually looks like from the top. Oh, it looks like a nice deep curve. If you look at it from the top view, you can't really see it, but if you go to this sort of top side view, if you go to this cube, you have this sort of option with these little dots. If you click on it, it gives you sort of an angle. And if you zoom in, you can see that it's kind of domed, right? So it's kind of domed. So that's what you can do with the Revolve. You can control the dome here. And that's why you should really try and master Revolve as much as possible, because though you can make a cylinder with the extrusion tool, you can also make some really cool shapes with just this extrusion. So I have a challenge for you guys. Let's just see if you guys can try and make a sphere. So I'll address that in my next video because it's kind of a challenge. Not many people can, like I did, I wasn't able to figure it out on my first try. and many people's first intuition can always be wrong, and you sort of have to experiment with it. So that's it for this video. If you were to able to get the challenge, please comment down below, but don't spoil it for others. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you. Bye.